Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is SamElliot64, and welcome to the RoboCast. I'm joined alongside.
As 9132, the Rules Guru.
And Steve, the American Killjoy.
And we're here for the 10th episode of BattleBots 2019. We have our guests this week. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, my name is Jeroen. I'm a team member this year from Team Petunia.
You are indeed, and you, as you say, you've been around for a while now. Obviously, I think you featured in the classic Robot Wars with Gravity, and obviously the reboots every series. I think you were there. I think you were there for all three series, weren't you?
Yeah, it's my thing to be on so many teams as possible. I did Reality last year, Petunia this year, and Series 10. I did my own robot, the Bash.
Yes.
Yeah, that was only for the international one. And before that, I was on the Cobra team. And before that, on the Toughest Nails team, and before that, on the Gravity team. So
you just collecting team memorabilia at this point.
How many T-shirts?
He was also with V3. V3, the Dutch
V3.
robots. Can't forget that bad boy.
yeah, the Dutch voice I did also Impact and Xbot, and well, it was not V3, it was square root 3 squared something.
Oh.
But that was too difficult, so we named it V3.
It's fair enough. It's fair enough. Obviously, as you mentioned, you are with Petunia this year.
Yes.
How did you find working with Misha? Obviously, compared to you've got a lot of experience with a lot of the different European teams at this point. You know, how did you find working with that team?
It was very fun. I knew the team well. I knew Misha ever since Robot Wars became a thing in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So around 2000, and well, we did stuff together, but never built a real robot together. And I think my expertise in the show and in design and in electronics really fit in the team. So Misha is the designer of the robot itself. He designs it basically he does for his job. He's a model maker, so he makes model houses and stuff like that. And the first version of Petunia is all wood. And yeah, and I helped him when that design was ready. I made it 3D so we could order the parts and have it laser cut and bent. And well, Misha is great fun. Ralph is great fun. So I really enjoyed myself in BattleBots and the builds. It was hard work, but really fun.
Good. That's what counts, right? You know, it has to be fun. What's the point of doing it, sort of thing.
Yeah, sure.
Obviously, we'll get to your fight in a minute, but obviously you've been part of so many teams, obviously throughout, particularly the last few years. You know, in different teams for Robot Wars and BattleBots, respectively. But have you ever been tempted to take something to BattleBots yourself? I think you it was a really great set of posts you made. I can't remember when it was. It was a couple of weeks ago now. I think there was a great segment where you were saying, you know, he had something designed ready to go. Have you ever been tempted to revisit that?
Well, for BattleBots, it's really a team effort. It's such a big thing, and you have to build so fast. You have a short lead time when you know you're on it. So mostly you don't spend money on the robot before you know it's finalized. Yeah. So for BattleBots, no. I'm on Team Petunia, Team PCP, and I'm here to stay as long as BattleBots will have us, because that was great fun. If Robot Wars would come back, I think I would submit a redesign of Gravity, because after Series 7 WJ he built a new Gravity, and I bought that version of him, improved it. I did some live events, but it's a while back now. And the last version got basically destroyed by Thor. Stuff got bent a lot, and I was planning a rebuild, and I was rebuilding it for the new series of Robot Wars, expecting to be invited, but well, I forgot. They had so many flippers already that I didn't really had a chance. And then everything happened, and it's still in a rebuild phase in my shop.
Maybe one day we'll see it. It'd be great to see. You know, Gravity is obviously a bit of a legend over these parts. But anyway, should we crack on with the actual episode itself?
Absolutely.
So obviously we start off with yourself.
Yes.
Obviously you're used to flippers.
Maybe not like this.
How does Hydra compare to, like, you know, obviously you've worked with Gravity quite a lot. over the years. You know, how does Hydra compare as a flipper to like that? You know, the pneumatic style flippers over here.
There's no. You can't compare it with a CO2 flipper. This system is next level. They posted the test video, I think, half a year ago, half a year before the show even was on, and you only could see something flying. And I was like, oh, they did it. They made a hydraulic flipper. And when they arrived, the robot was open, so I asked around if I could see inside, and they explained the system, and it's brilliant. That's next level engineering, and they did the thing that was necessary for making hydraulics like really fast. I mean, Quantum has a fast closing beak. We also are working on it, but it hasn't showed in the series. But this is like instantly open with all that force. And leading up to the fight, we have seen what it done to other robots. So we were pretty sure we were not going to win this one.
Oh.
It's a shame because obviously I think you obviously Petunia doing so well last season. I think ended up beating Rotator, who obviously went on to be top 8. I think has really hurt Petunia this year in the sense that they've fought quite high standard of opposition throughout. Obviously getting to Hydra. Hydra was just on fire. Like obviously the bit of miss timing at the start. Obviously you got to get your eye in, but as soon as I think Jake got straight under and the first real flip where you go flying through the air, at that point the fight's over because you have no control then.
I remember the first flip he had. It was a really small flip, and I was like, wait, his system is not working. Great, we can have it.
Well, that's exactly what I thought.
And then the next flip came. So, if you think about it, Hydra is pretty crushable for us because it's we can grab it if we could get underneath it, and it's all titanium. So we're pretty sure we would do some damage to it.
Yeah, I mean you went through Marvin no problem. So
yeah, and I seen Hydra open, and it's pretty full in there. There's a lot of components, of course. Only the front is empty, so one grab would be enough to at least disable his weapon if we could get him. But those nasty side skirts,
Yeah, it's certainly very impressive. Obviously, I did like the fact that they well, first of all, they smashed the timing screen, which was great. It was a great shot to get you just in there, and then like pinning you behind the pulverizer by the commentary. That was great. It was great to see Chris and Kenny kind of like looking at Petunia, like starting to wonder if it would come down. It was certainly a spectacle. I think this fight, there's no, with a flipper that powerful, there's not going to be it's not going to be a spectacle at all.
No.
Yeah.
The timer screen. I didn't know this until I saw the show yesterday.
Oh really?
I did not know about it.
In the moment, sometimes that stuff just kind of squeaks by.
Oh yeah,
To be fair, when you see your robot go flying about 10 feet in the air, it's the last thing you notice.
Yeah, true.
The timer screen breaking.
True. And Anis, I want to come to you quickly. Obviously, how would you rate the fight itself?
As a fight, I don't really think we can call it that. Really, no offense. It was just you guys getting bullied, basically. But as a spectacle, it was something else. I mean, as much as I love Petunia, I'm sorry, but it did look great seeing it go flying through the air. And it's nice to see, like I said, we said this earlier on in the series, problem is with BattleBots is Bronco was the only real flipper that was actually doing anything. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to see something else coming along and showing the world that flippers can do something. It really is. Yeah. I'm hoping that maybe, just maybe, we can hopefully get some more flippers in, some more other weapons in, because otherwise it's just going to be Spin City still.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do know BattleBots did kind of egg on Team Apollo.
I saw that, on Twitter. It was, they dropped them a link saying, come and apply then. And then it was just like, oh, damn, it's happening.
Bring Chronic!
Yes.
Weren't they meant to be in Season 1?
They were reserve, I think.
That was it.
Yeah, for Season 2, I think they were reserved. Well, anyway, it's Chronic and Apollo. It's basically the same robot. Only you can't use CO2 in BattleBots, so
it's nitrogen,
you have to switch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Obviously, you guys had a plan going into this. You try and as you say, try and crush on top and try and get through to some of the nice juicy components inside. Were you kind of disappointed with the loss to Hydra? I mean, at the end of the day, they're now at 3-0.
Yeah,
they've been very consistent throughout. Like, do you kind of think that's actually quite a good loss considering the caliber of teams that they've beaten? Or
we were hoping to have at least more of a fight. Not winning it, but Petunia did break after the second flip. I think not the one on the timer, but the one after it.
Yeah.
A wire inside got cut, and it also took out our receiver. So you can see the wheel spinning at the end. It was just fail-safe mode. And well, if it lasted for like 2 minutes 50, it would be fine, or maybe a judge's decision. But in the end, it was a nice fight to watch on TV, and it was nice to be in the main show.
yeah, I was going to say I felt really bad for you guys because obviously you've had obviously this is your third fight of the season. It's the first one that's actually been on Discovery, which is it's a bit of a shame. But you know, as I say, it was good to see you guys, you know, back on the main card. I think it's a bit. I think it was a bit unfair that you know you've both been on Science Channel, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, these cut fights obviously have to go somewhere.
Yep.
Excuses.
Yeah. I mean, anything more to add? I mean, it was, as I say, it was a fight of kinds. But, you know, Hydra. You know, once they got going, they really, you know, just dominated. Really.
I guess you could say when Hydra threw Petunia in the air, time just stopped.
Yeah.
It was a Matrix moment.
Yeah,
Like, everything froze.
that was a thinker. That was. If anyone out there got that, you can leave a comment. There you go. Like do that. So the next fight was between Yeti and Rainbow.
This wasn't a fight.
It wasn't a fight. We said it the same
It wasn't a fight. One thing I did find interesting to see was that Rainbow has actually got 2 wins.
Who did they fight?
I think it was an unaired fight, kind of like well, yeah, kind of like who was it earlier? It was Sidewinder.
Inside. Yeah.
That's the one.
But at least they told us what they fought, and this is just a mystery. So what happened?
It'll be on YouTube eventually.
But I want to know.
Oh, I look forward to seeing that after the last time we saw the YouTube specials. Jesus Christ.
There was a couple of sneaky good ones in there.
Yeah, there were some good ones.
Yeah, but Basilisk versus Chomp, man. Come on.
That was special.
Okay.
That was special.
Chopper
Well,
seems
back to the main fight.
Anyway.
I mean, as you rightly say, there wasn't much of a fight. I mean, Yeti got a great connection, which we criticised Yeti kind of a couple of weeks ago about how when they hit something with that drum, it doesn't give that same kind of big hit that you expect from like it grinds rather than catches, and you know it's a bit underwhelming. This wasn't underwhelming. This was great. This was spot on.
I'll tell you one thing. Robots this season are making us eat our own words. We said at the beginning that Son of Archie, we thought it would live past its prime,
Yeah.
and it's twatted literally almost everything it's come against.
Yes.
And Yeti now this time around decides, I'm just going to show those boys up, you know, because why not?
They
I
got
think
one of them, right?
they dropped the forks again for this fight.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just straight in with the big spinner, and well, that's working for them. The Rainbow guys and girls, by the way.
Yeah.
It was fun to see the fight because at the beginning of the recordings they had a lot of issues with their transmitter gear, so they lent my spare transmitter. So every time they fight, I see my transmitter in the show, and I know they blew a lot of speed controllers for the weapon. Actually, I was standing right beside them outside in the testing area when one speed controller just let out the magic smoke.
Let's help the magic smoke.
I love that.
I think they also burned a very expensive one they got from maybe Team Hypershock, I'm not sure, but the Trampa. And yeah, they had an issue with the motor. It just broke all the speed controllers. So I think they went into the fight without an active weapon this time.
Interesting. It's a shame because, you know, obviously I think it was well documented that they kind of had a lot of issues trying to get to BattleBots in the first place with, like, you know, funding and, you know, trying to, you know, get over to the States in the first place was kind of a challenge for those guys, and for them to turn up and kind of keep, as you say, your own kind of like blowing speed controllers every fight or even just in testing. It's kind of a shame for those guys to have to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seemed like they're enjoying their time there at least. I think they
Oh, they did. They also made some kind of vlog about it. It's all in Russian, but I enjoyed it watching it. But they built a pretty good robot. It's if it's up to speed and if everything was working fine, it would be a nasty spinner to fight against. I think.
It's got potential, and obviously they've got 2 wins. As much as one was against Nelly, yes, fair enough, and the other one was untelevised, fair enough. But they've still got 2 wins. You can't.
Yeah, absolutely. Got more wins than I got.
you can only beat the opponent that's in front of you, and I think that's it's testament to them. As for Yeti, I think now at 2-1, obviously they lost to Bite Force. There's no disgrace there. You can't really complain about that. And 2 solid wins since then. I think Yeti. I think we kind of all omitted them from our top 16 at the start of the season. I think they're slowly getting into that kind of bracket where you think, okay, they started to put a run together now. You can't write them off.
Another strong win for them could definitely put them in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've certainly turned a few heads. I think again, you kind of Yeti goes a lot under the radar. I feel like, and I think this is a good example of getting them back in the spotlight. I think there's
crazy because this is a bot that was a runner-up. It was a reserve that also came not top 4. That's right. Yeah, semi-final appearance in 2016. So it's still machine. Dogged and determined, and it's really really good. We just missed this one, but there's one further down the list here that I think we didn't miss, but we'll get to that when we get there.
Oh yes, we will. Obviously, Yeti moving to 2-1. It's
hoping the Russians figure out their spinner problems, because man, I want to see that thing do some damage.
Yeah. I think they did all right. They were, at the end of the day, they couldn't really do much when Yeti charges right at you.
To be fair, they did cave Nelly's face in. I mean, what do you want?
They did cave Nelly's face in. The next fight sees Skorpios and Tantrum. This was a bit of a slow burner. It took a while for the fight to get going. Skorpios really struggled to get under Tantrum. I think is more a testament to Tantrum than anything else. They built the machine very low this time, and it's such a brick as well. You can't really do much to it unless you get under, and Skorpios struggled with that really early on.
See, the problem with this fight is you got 2 robots that are very difficult to get a hold of.
Yeah.
And when you put those 2 kind of robots against each other, nothing really happens.
Yeah, and they're both well armored. Obviously, both of them have really shown that they can take hits from heavy opposition. We saw Skorpios in the Remars event take some serious damage and still keep going, and then you have Tantrum played a good fight against Tombstone last year and only lost a fist or 2, and so I mean this was gonna go 3 minutes. I just didn't think we wouldn't see Tantrum's weapon just not work. It's almost like it's having a hard time getting bite, because I've talked about this before, where there's a calculation you can do to figure out the optimum speed given the amount of bite that you have on a weapon, and it's okay when it's just you're worried about your robot's driving speed, but when you also have to worry about this punching linear actuator, I think it seems to have complicated it, and it looked really cool. I remember being super interested with this robot, but now I'm just confused to figure out what's the right answer with this kind of design. You know what I mean? I like the idea. It's just, how do you implement it to make it work?
I think with Tantrum, the concept of the weapon itself is it's very new technology. It's very untested and untrialed, and I think given a season, 2 seasons, I reckon they can obviously figure it out and improve upon it from there on in.
Yeah.
Obviously, maybe a bit too early at this stage to say anything about it.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
The first time I noticed, I saw the robot, was at the recording, and I was like, yeah, that's the most evil thing ever, because it takes advantage that robots are not well armored on the underside. Yeah. So it's, as said before, it's a great concept, but we didn't see the full potential as of yet. I think Aaron is onto something with this design, and it just needs that testing and that redesigning, the iterations on it to make it a good robot.
Yeah, I mean the thing is the chassis and the drive suffered a lot last season. It wasn't quite at full tilt. This season it's been silky smooth the whole way through, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
The weapon, notwithstanding, the robot itself is now solid. It's not, it's a brick. It's so small and tiny, and it's going to take hits forever.
Mm-hmm.
The weapon, obviously, it can be worked on. It's something that can be improved over time, which is good. As soon as obviously they've got the reliability down now, where it's it's not struggling against to go 3 minutes with a high end machine like Skorpios. You got to think that Tantrum can take this as a kind of an okay loss, because Skorpios is at 3-0 now. I think they're pretty much a shoe in for the top 16 as well. They're looking very strong.
I would say so. Yes. Yeah.
Which is very nice to see as well.
They're a good. They seem like a well-oiled team.
Great to see it. Yeah, it's great to see them actually get there this time, because last time they were so close.
Yeah.
So close to getting in, and they just missed. I think it was only wasn't it because they ran out of parts or something? They ran out of spares.
They were using a literal angle grinder on top of it, weren't they, instead of a weapon?
Basically, yeah, they ran out of discs basically. So it's nice to see them actually potentially get in there, because they do deserve it.
Yeah. The only thing I can say, go ahead.
One of the very few teams undefeated this time around.
Yeah.
I mean, even Tombstone is undefeated this time around, so that's no small feat, the way I look at it.
Yeah. How highly do you rate Skorpios, Jeroen?
I always thought it was a good robot. It just up until now they had bad luck, and well, it's been also improved. The saw disc thing is massive, big, so it can deliver a good punch now. And when I saw it, the new version in real life for the first time, I was like, wow, that's going to be hard to fight.
It's like they've just taken that, they've gone from like an almost ran to a top end machine now. I think Skorpios in this format it's just gonna be so tough to beat, because there's nothing to get. Like, it's either wedge or weapon, and if you get the one killer hit, sure, then fair enough, you get it. But there's just not much else you can get. It's so, whereas Sawblaze is quite big and bulky, this is so small, and there's no real place you can hit it. It's so difficult to fight.
The only thing about Skorpios that I can say negative is that its fights tend to run long. It lacks that
killer blow,
early knockout punch.
Yeah.
And I talked about this. I think I was watching the Drop Zone last night. I was awake for the premiere. Haha. I don't know why I was awake at 1:30 Eastern. Steven, get some sleep. But I noted there that it's just it lacks that killer blow, and I think that's going to hurt it late on. Where it's going to come up against something that has that. And I mean, it's durable as heck, but say it goes to the judges, and I just don't think it's gonna do it. But you never know. I could be wrong, and I'd love to be wrong, because Skorpios is fantastic, and it got screwed in season 2 when it got stuck in the screws. I just noticed that was punny.
Hashtag still bitter.
But anyway, I do hope they get a top 16 spot. I don't see them not getting one. Maybe a little lower down, probably the bottom 8, maybe possible. I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit too low. But just because its fights have gone longer, and I think it lacks that domination early on in a fight. I mean, the damage domination. Like it's not that the weapon isn't effective. I'm rambling. Stop me. I'm done.
Yeah, it's Skorpios. They've gone a long way.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. We'll move on to a rematch, I suppose, of some kinds, but like this fight came first, so
prequel. It's the prequel.
The prequel. There you go. That'll do. Between Bronco and free shipping. Bronco.
What happened?
Bronco. Well, Jeroen, you might know what happened.
Well, in the post-interview, they mentioned it was material weakness. Titanium was weak.
Yeah.
But when they hold up the flipper arm, you could see it was the welds.
Okay.
Maybe something went wrong with welding, preheating. Titanium is hard to weld. I can't weld anyway, so never tried titanium. It's just, I think I heard someone say Bronco is not at the A game right now. They show up, they do the thing, and they're missing the passion and the finesse to win the match.
Yeah,
this year.
I can see what you mean, because like you look at this fight with free shipping. I mean, obviously we saw in the Remars event how they kind of dominated the fight, but obviously losing your flipper blade tends to skew the match against you a little bit, but even the fight against Bite Force, where Bite Force just picked them apart bit by bit, there was no aggression. And with Bronco in this fight, I liked how they did try and they did the tactic they did against was it Razorback back in season 2, where they go backwards into them, try and use the back end as like a forward hinge flipper, if you like.
Yeah. And the secret forward hinge flipper we didn't know about.
Yeah, exactly. And it was but they didn't go try and go underneath it. They just kind of positioned themselves to a point where free shipping was afraid to go in. Yeah, sure, but where's the aggression coming from? They're not trying to win the fight, which kind of confuses me a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I just think Bronco's lacking something now. I don't know.
Yeah. It's lacking his flipper.
Well, yeah, that too. They're lacking the flipper.
Well, they're going to go back to an older arm, apparently, according to that post-fight interview.
Yeah.
So hopefully whatever happened in this fight never happens again, because it's a shame to see a robot without a weapon. It was clear that they were crippled in this fight after that, so...
They're going to come in rearmed.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Dear me. I want to talk about free shipping a little bit.
Yes. Can we talk about the flames?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
Yes.
As a pyromaniac, it's bloody lovely, coming from a pyromaniac's point of view.
Yeah.
Maybe a little inside info that didn't make the show, but there are rules to flames.
Yeah, I heard about this.
Must have, and also you are not supposed to fire up against the arena wall, because it will damage it or weaken it.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I heard, they got serious, not disqualified, but
telling off.
Yeah, they were. If they did this again with this amount of flames, I've seen a picture there. The flames were reaching the ceiling of the arena in the end when they showed up the flames.
I think
you're not supposed to do that.
I think they posted on Twitter at BattleBots. They said the flames can't go over 4 feet. I think it's something like that. And then they said
over 4 feet.
Yeah, and it was over 4 feet, but it was great to watch. It was great to
how tall is the battle box? I can't remember.
It's small.
I think it's smaller than the Robot Wars arena, isn't it? I'm fairly sure it is.
Yeah.
Surely.
I don't know how tall it is.
Britain is bigger and more superior.
Yeah.
But anyway,
everything's bigger in the USA, right?
I want to talk about free shipping in a sense that I'm so happy they got a win.
A good one.
A good
really
win.
good win.
A really good win.
Yeah.
They're at 1 and 2. Another win? Could they sneak in? I think they can. If we win against Bronco, that's a big scalp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
they've only lost to Yeti. They lost to Yeti and Hydra. Hydra's currently at 3-0, and Yeti's 2-1, and lost to Bite Force. That's fairly good losses, I'd say.
And consider the big competitor as well.
Yeah.
I'd say if it was a big win, yeah, but
it's a big win if you think of Bronco's past success. You know what I mean? But if you just think of this tournament,
I agree. This is a huge win. I'm saying if it was to do 2 and 2, the second one would also have to be a big win. Is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And if it did just sneak in, it'd be like I think no, because you know how much I love garage and you know how much I love free shipping. I think it would definitely be a lower 8.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I'm just relieved that they actually got a win because I actually predicted them to win the whole competition. So that's good. It's good for me at least. I've saved some face now.
This is how it felt for me, Sam, when I predicted Pulsar.
Goblin. It was a good win, and I think the driving skill of Garage really showed in this. They just outmaneuvering Bronco the whole fight. This is the way I thought the Remars match was going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's pretty much nothing else to say about that. So we'll move on to Valkyrie and Monsoon. Now, we were going to have Leanne on tonight. However, she's a bit preoccupied with some travels of some kind, so she's not available.
But how dare she have a life up?
I know. Honestly, beside the point. Anyway, I do feel very bad for Monsoon because I spoke to Tom a little bit about this, and I believe the first hit from Valkyrie broke the weapon motor, which kind of finished the match then and there, really, because Monsoon's really not an optimised design for pushing things around. I did appreciate the effort nonetheless, but it just didn't happen for them.
There's actually an issue with Monsoon. It's definitely, there's no offence to Tom or anything, but it's definitely one that's built weapon first, everything else later, sort of thing.
Yeah, sure.
They had a bit of they had a one-time transmitter drop in the beginning of the fight. They were driving around, and then you can see Monsoon stop for like a second, turning a bit, and that was the point Valkyrie came in and hit the weapon motor. Tom also said that to me.
Yeah.
So if they didn't have that issue, that was a really turning point in the match because the rest of the match it was spectacular. This is also the fight that convinced our team, Petunia, to go with brushless drive because Monsoon, Monsoon was driving brushless. Yeah. And after this fight, I was convinced. I'm like, well, we should upgrade.
It's good to see Valkyrie perform as well. Like they've over the last couple of seasons, they've kind of flattered us even a little bit in a sense that, you know, if one thing's working, the other thing's not, so the drive would work, but the weapon's not. I know they put this kind of resin over the tyres, borrowed from Ribot, and it seemed to help the drive a lot. They had a lot more grip than what they normally do. This was a solid win for them, and I think as much as, you know, Monsoon were very unlucky, I think Valkyrie took advantage where, you know, there was a weakness and they took it, essentially. Yep. I think they did well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the idea of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Monsoon 1 and 2. What do we think?
It's not looking good, is it?
It's had a couple of matches now where it's gotten completely just wrecked.
Yeah,
and I think
they need a big win. They need a big win.
Yeah, they need to go up to Tombstone and just hit it and kill it in one shot, and then they might get in. But you know.
Yeah,
but what's Valkyrie at now?
2-1.
I can't remember. 2-1. So I mean, they're not exactly what you call slouches. I mean, they're taking out a top 8 robot in Monsoon from the last season.
Yeah.
Who else was they taking out?
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. I mean, yeah, okay. So a win's a win. You know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No. In fact, Valkyrie's got. I think it's again much like Yeti's kind of playing itself in now to a point where, okay, the loss against Hypershock, fair enough, Hypershock's doing very well. Yeah, Valkyrie's getting to a point now where you kind of think, maybe, you know, who knows?
I mean, it's even tougher this season to predict who's going to make it into that top 16 bracket.
Yeah.
Last season, we towards the end, by the Desperado tournament, we sort of kind of knew who was going to be there, and lo and behold, they were there. But this time it's still really tricky because a lot of robots have got the same amount of victories as each other, and it's quite difficult.
It's very tight.
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously there's a couple that are pretty much guaranteed, like Bite Force, and I think Skorpios now. I think we can all agree on that one.
Yeah.
You know,
Witch Doctor.
Maybe Witch Doctor, yeah, and probably even Hypershock. Now I think about it.
Yeah, maybe.
They've had a really good season this time around. So, but there's still it's
lot
kind of like
that. You know, it's that bottom 8 that I just can't call. Like the top 8, okay, you got Death Roll and things like that in there, but like bottom 8, it's a who's who.
Yeah, it's a who. I mean, Daisy Cutter still has a chance. No,
let's not talk about Daisy Cutter. we're off the air. Let's talk about the last not fight, which was Chronos and Copperhead.
Not
the one
fight.
big hit.
It was a great hit. It was a mighty hit. It was a very. I think we all kind of said it was very reminiscent of the Son of Waiachi hit that they got with Poison Arrow a couple of years ago. Copperhead looked wrecked. Proud. Copperhead was wrecked after this. Like, did you see the drum was kind of hanging out and everything?
His drum was annihilated. His drive was gone. But I will say this: shout out to World of Woodrow. He did a video describing this battle, and I agree with him on this. Actually, the crab walk wasn't considered full movement here.
I was going to ask.
Other robots this season have done that, and they've managed to get away with it.
I was going to ask Jeroen about this because obviously, you know, I think Petunia was kind of doing the same thing against Warhawk, were they not?
Yes, no. In Warhawk we had transmitter issues, and we decided to stop moving because we couldn't get there and only could get more damage. But I do agree that it's a bit of inconsistency overall in the fights. But then again, both weapons were down, and it would not really be a fight anymore.
No, it would be Chronos kind of bumping against Copperhead, really, wouldn't it?
I think if Copperhead's weapon was still driving and he was crab walking that way, so he would have a lot more movement, then it would allow it. But in this case, there was no weapon, and it was really slow movement.
Yeah, I think for the sake of the audience, I think it was better. I mean, if you remember back to, was it PP3D and Eruption, when they just kind of did this for 3 minutes?
we don't know. We don't bring that up, Sam.
Yeah.
We don't mention that one.
leave
That was arse.
It was bad. So I think for the sake of the viewer and the audience, I think it was good that Copperhead got counted out. Obviously,
I can understand that, but I just don't like the lack of consistency myself.
I think
it being a person who believes in fair, especially considering Bite Force also was doing that crab walk thing against Yeti and didn't get counted out.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that Yeti was moving perfectly fine and had some of the weapon.
Well, the thing is, Copperhead in its fight against Gruff was gyroing around, so that's considered control.
I mean, they had the weapon, didn't they? I suppose so. That's
true.
Something. I think it's just
I guess
a case
maybe because
of
the gyro it had a bit more movement. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
I think so. I'd like to think in future if. I don't know. Like maybe in future, like if there's like a hard. Okay, if you're crab walking, that's no good. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that'll start to become a thing a bit more in the future. But
I thought that was the hard rule. Like I thought there would the fact that that BattleBots had a different look on different approach to that, because in the of course the damn. Hopefully you don't hear that beeping in the background. We just have a smoke alarm decide my battery's down. But it's. When you fight insect classes, you crab walk, you're okay, but BattleBots doesn't think the same way. But I mean, we can argue about rules forever, but I mean, I think it was in the best interest of the audience that this fight ended the way it did. I don't think Copperhead was not coming back from this.
No, it wasn't. Chronos gets his first win. Good for them. Good for them.
To be fair, whilst it wasn't much of a fight, it was an impressive win.
Yes.
Yeah, against solid opposition.
Yeah. So Copperheads, okay, they haven't really lived up to their potential this time around, but they are still considered a reasonable threat.
Yeah.
And it was done in one hit, so.
Can't really complain about that. We'll move on to the main event, which sees Bite Force and Hypershock fighting for the third time now, I think, in modern BattleBots. Bite Force currently it's 2-0, and they made it 3. To be honest, that's what happened.
They went 3-0 by going 3-0 against Hypershock.
Yeah, they did, and I have to say, massive credit to Hypershock. Massive credit to Hypershock.
Yes,
they actually survived this time.
They did, and as well as that, they, I think they were, towards the end. Obviously, they lost the wedge, they lost the wheel, whatever, but they were, they were still trying, and
yes.
Oh yeah.
Bite Force. I mean. John, I want to bring you in here quickly. Like, obviously, Bite Force is a machine where you can't take it lightly. Like,
no.
If you were in the position that Hypershock were in, would you keep going in for the kill or?
I was like, stop already, stop.
Stop! He's already dead.
But to all fairness, if the opponents keep moving, you keep attacking, and Will decided to go all in, and I had the same in. It's not the same. Weight class, but I had the same in a fight with featherweights, and I was encouraging my opponent to keep on hitting in the hope he would magically die. So that's always a thing, but not with Bite Force. Bite Force doesn't randomly die. So yeah, it was a great match to watch. And the thing is, Bite Force, the team Paul, they're so tuned in. Everything is so perfect. And they don't push anything in their robot to the limits. Like Hypershock is using the brushless drive with insane speed, and Bite Force is fast, but it's just moderate fast. He doesn't overfault the motors. He uses basic components, and I think that's his secret. He's just keep everything in the specs and don't push the limits, and just have a really reliable robot. And yeah. I think Hypershock could have won this.
I think you're right. I mean, they were getting underneath Bite Force, which is very rare. Very rare that Bite Force loses the ground game.
At the beginning, they were getting some good hits in on the side.
Yeah.
And they did manage to cause their mobility to suffer a little bit.
They did.
But Bite Force is one of these annoying robots where... annoying in a good way, obviously, but you hit it a few times, and then it just gets that one hit it needs. And then that's it. And then the fight's there from that point onwards.
I think Paul just keeps calm and just keeps fighting, and he seems so relaxed while standing there. Of course, inside maybe stuff is happening, but he's just So
He's ice
calm.
cold, isn't it? He is
That's
ice cold.
That's what's annoying about him, I think, is that he looks like it makes it look easy.
You can't get in his head. It's impossible. Like I don't know. The guy just maybe he's part machine as well. Who knows? But this fight indicates to me how far Hypershock's come, because every season so far, the reboot's been on, Hypershock's. I think it's fair to say that they're flattered to deceive, because the machine goes like absolute crazy for the first fight
definitely.
or two, and then it just kind of peters out. You just think, oh well, Hypershock's got all Hypershock again. They've got this consistency and this run going now where they've not broken down yet. Touch wood. They keep going in. I think Will Bell's really matured a lot with this new machine. I think they've got a real solid base with the last seasons on. Obviously, they've adapted it and made it better this year. I think they can. Obviously, a loss to Bite Force. I mean, does it? You're not going to bat an eyelid at that, really, are you? Let's be real.
No.
I just think they've got a lot more to be looking for. I mean, obviously, last season was so tough for them as well. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this is showing that they can do it. Yeah. I mean, the fact that I'm going to say this now. This is easily Bite Force's hardest fight. Well, since their fight against Chomp, I'd say.
Yeah, this 11 win streak they've been going on. This was the hardest one.
Definitely, and that's that. Again, I mean, that there is in itself a win as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. Even the final against Minotaur last year wasn't really much of a challenge for Bite Force.
No, it's steamrolled everything last season, didn't it? Didn't give anything a chance, really.
No.
And I do think that it's nice to see that he decided to take the design he had and just tweaked it instead of completely rebuilding it and changing it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's definitely paid off. It really, really has.
It's got a great chance for a top 16 spot.
Definitely,
one more good fight.
I think it's going to get it. It's only lost this season is to the reigning champion.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, depending on how easy it is to fix and that extra fight they have, I honestly can't really see them not making it. And probably a top tier as well.
Yeah.
If
they
they
went 3
go
minutes
3
against the
and
champ,
1,
so
if they go 3 and 1, maybe.
it's like taking Mike Tyson into the 12th round. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
You're obviously you've obviously seen the fight itself. From your perspective, how do you beat Bite Force? It's an easy question to
you take the battery
right?
out of his transmitter and you win.
Yeah, you say, Paul, look over there. What?
Turn it off.
Oh, we had this talk with the team recently. How do you beat the top robots? And we went into the Hydra fight, and let's say it was Bite Force. Like, well, we're gonna lose this, and this is the wrong attitude.
Yeah.
So first of all, convince yourself you're gonna win it. I think most if your robots like Hypershock, it was running fine. Of course, it got damaged, but it's a nasty spinner. So with the right mindset, that's a big part, and just mirror Bite Force.
Mm-hmm.
Bite Force takes it slow. He drives slow. He can drive fast, but he takes his time to align his robot and keeps his nose at the opponent and just takes his shots and not go in blind and all Leroy Jenkins style. Let's attack him. Just keep your cool, and I think keep your cool is the hard part, because I have not driven a robot in the BattleBots. I have only done weapons so far, but the adrenaline, the nerves, everything, that's the thing. And when you watch Paul pre-fight, he's just sitting there playing his music on his headphones, totally zoned out. I think that's a part of it. Just keep cool.
Yeah.
Keep cool for Bite Force, and I think that's quite a nice place to leave it off. I have to say, Jeroen, thank you.
And bribe the judges.
Bribe the judges. Jeroen, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to leave a link to your YouTube channel, because if you ever want to build a combat robot, Jeroen is the guy to watch. He's got this great guide on. I think was it the bash you were building?
Yeah, but I still have not finished.
Finish it, because I want to see the rest of it. It's great. It's honestly a fantastic guide.
All this footage laying around, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna edit this someday.
Make it happen. I want to see the rest of it. It's great. It's honestly such a great watch, and it's you've obviously
thanks.
All the experience you've gained over the years. It's just great to see, because everyone goes into myself recently kind of getting into building machines as well. It's so difficult to kind of find a start point. I think you offer that start point quite well. So, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Can I stick something in here, Sam?
Of course you can.
So, for those of you who are aware or unaware, we had a voting for the Combat Robot Hall of Fame.
We did.
It just happened recently, and the results just came out today.
All right. Okay.
So, full membership in the 2019 Hall of Fame, we have Bite Force and
Finally.
Silent Spring.
Oh.
So, and then honorable mention goes to Behemoth, Huge, and Spectre.
Good choices.
Yeah.
Spectre only got a honorable mention. Holy Jesus! Okay.
I know. I thought Behemoth would get in this year, but just not yet.
Poor Behemoth.
They just can't make it.
Another thing as well
Yeah,
that
Killer Hurts in there.
Another thing I want to mention is next week is no, not next week. Next week's fine. 2 weeks' time is Robo Nerd. We don't really know what we're gonna do while we're there, because obviously we're there while BattleBots is on. We could probably record something while we're there. Let us know what you want to see. I mean, we could have a look around and see, do like a bit of a.
Podcast.
Yeah, we could do. So let us know what you want to see from Robo Nerd while we're there. Give us a bit of time to prep something.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, we'll say me and Sam.
Yeah,
I know.
Steve's American.
I'm stuck here.
Oh yeah, you are you coming?
I am coming also, yes.
Excellent.
Oh yes!
We'll see
I'm
you there.
bringing Hold My Beer.
You're well chuffed with that.
Your Beetle 8 tough as nails. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
It's great.
Sorry,
Anyway,
I'm sorry. I'm actually nerdgasming right now. I'm so excited.
with that said, I've been Sam at 64.
I'm Branson 9122, the Robo's Guru.
I've been Steve, the American Killjoy.
And I've been Jeroen, the Dutch guy.
And we'll see you. Well, the three of us will see you next week for the 11th episode of BattleBots 2019. We'll see you then.
Bye bye.
Ta-da.